Candidates Forum for the year 2025-26. We just want to thank everybody for taking a Saturday afternoon to be with us. And I first want to give a huge shout out to Mary Burns. Mary's been my cohort in crime here, and she's done yeoman's work on trying to get people running for the board. And while we had a lot of interest from people, she reached out to almost 20 people. The people that are be speaking today are the ones that actually stood up and took the challenge, and we really thank them. And luckily, the people she reached out to, a lot of them expressed interest to be on the board in the future. So what we're going to do, each candidate's going to have 5 minutes to tell their story, and they can either talk about what they wrote in their statements or add to that, or talk about how they feel about Leo and what that means to them and what the future church looks like. And then at 30 minutes, we will open it up for questions. We're going to mute. We're going to mute folks, and we're going to not have the chat until the 30-minute mark. So we don't want to interrupt the speakers, and we will be hopefully answering all your questions during the last 30 minutes. So without further ado, I will introduce our first speaker, Francis. Francis, would you like to come on board?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, my name is Francis Beaumier, pronouns he, him. And yeah, thanks for allowing me to share my thoughts and run for the board here. I'm really quite relieved that this is same amount of people as seats, so we can just sort of have a nice dialogue about the future of Dignity and all that, and not worry about vying for limited seats here. But my history with Dignity starts back in 2012 when I encountered some mysterious Dignity folk at a New Ways Ministry convention. And so then I went on to attend the conference next year in 2013 in Minneapolis. I was one of the co-leads of the Dignity Young Adult Caucus from 2015 to 2017. Took the baton from Martine here and believe passed it on to his husband. So I'm at least surrounded by greatness. Fast forward to 2022, that's when the Green Bay, Wisconsin diocese, which is where I live, followed the popular bandwagon at the time of introducing a lot of anti-trans policies. And at that point, I made the decision that, you know, if my trans siblings weren't even allowed in the door, then I probably shouldn't be attending Roman Catholic Mass myself. And luckily, Dignity had made available a nice list of chapters that were offering Zoom options. Grateful to the pandemic for that. So I hopped on board with the Living Beatitudes community out of Dayton, Ohio, and I sincerely consider them my home chapter at this point. They do a phenomenal job of a hybrid worship service, and I think they're a great model for anybody to follow. But between that and getting invited to help with some technology work at the San Diego conference, I was really reassured that yes, I can still be Catholic even if I'm not, you know, attending official Catholic Mass, which may seem obvious, but when you've been a cradle Catholic, well, you know, it feels weird to jump out of what you've always done. Dignity inspired me at the end of 2022 to consider living kidney donation after one of our members in Boston needed a kidney. I discerned a little too long and wasn't able to help her out, but my kidney actually went to the same hospital on the same day as she got hers. So if that isn't the Holy Spirit, I don't know what is. But I think in my mind, there will always be a need for what I have grown to call a straight affirming worship space. I say that with a twinkle in my eye. So many congregations now are what they call open and affirming. And I really think we turn it on its head and we start with the LGBT community and we welcome in our straight allies as well. So for me, just a world of difference between the two, and I think there'll always be a place for that. And Dignity will, I think, as is quite obvious with the political climate, be an important source of advocacy in the world. A lot of the arguments these days are faith-based arguments, so we owe it to the world to put in good theology to counteract these faith-based arguments that are, in my opinion, a little bit gone astray. We all kind of float or sink together, so it is our job to stand up for everyone marginalized right now to say, hey, this registry that you want to create of autistics is not okay. Deporting immigrants is not okay. And certainly the rights of our trans siblings being diminished is not okay. This is, I think, a little bit of a selfish candidacy for me as well. I realized pretty early on in life that I couldn't be self-employed. I need the structure of an employer. So I look at this as structuring my advocacy as well. Not here to radically change Dignity, but I love the idea of having it help me be a good force for good in the world and advocate as part of Dignity. So that's my 5 minutes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Lewis. Wow. Francis. Wow. I know too at Dignity Washington, when we have straight people come to Mass, more than several times, they come up to me after Mass and say, wow, this is what Mass should be like. It's like, yes. All right, our next speaker is Lewis. Lewis is a current board member, so he would like to run for re-election. Lewis, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Daniel. Hi, everybody. I'm Lewis Lensmeyer. I am based in the Twin Cities in Plymouth, which is a west suburb of Minneapolis. So great to be with you all today. So I mentioned my name is Lewis, and we are 48 hours into the Pope Leo papacy. And I could not help but notice yesterday that Pope Leo has a brother named Louis, so I'm just kind of really consolidating on that in many facets of my life where I can. But yeah, I'll stop there. I have been called Leo when I was a kid when they saw my name as Lou and not Louis, and they might have called me Leo. I won't go that route, but Louis as a brother of the Pope, I'm liking that approach. So I have been part of Dignity Twin Cities since 2019, and as Daniel said, I'm running for re-election for the board. So, I've always been a lifelong Catholic, and I've experienced the pain of being a Catholic, but I really have felt a meaning that I am made in God's image and I belong within the Catholic Church. I understand why people have left the church because of the hurt and pain that they have inflicted on LGBTQ individuals and such over time. But I'm more of a, no, I'm staying here. You can't kick me out. But there's times, that has been very painful. We've all known that. And one in particular in Minnesota has been, we were the first state to defeat marriage amendment in 2012. And so up in that campaign, the Diocese of St. Paul, Minneapolis, did a heavy campaign in favor of enshrining amendment at the state level to be a marriage between a man and a woman. And going to church and seeing people I know and love, they would bring up second collections and such and just say these collections would go to the efforts to push forward an amendment at the state level. And so that was a testing time for me, but I relied on the Holy Spirit and my faith and know that I belong in the Catholic Church and I'm not leaving no matter what you're doing. And so I've been very stubborn about that through the years. So um, and I've been part of Dignity Twin Cities, like I mentioned, since 2019. I serve as a secretary, so I take our notes every month, and we meet the fourth Sunday of every month at a Methodist church locally. At the national level, I've been involved in the Aging with Dignity Caucus, co-facilitating that, the National Conference Planning Committee, and then also been involved in some recent strategic planning that we are doing at that level and seeing the viability, ensuring the viability of Dignity long term. So one thing I think Dignity has going for it is obviously our history and our reputation and our success over the years. So Dignity Twin Cities last fall is celebrated 50 years. Very impressive. Many other chapters have celebrated 50 years, and Dignity in general has been celebrating longer than that. So I've been fortunate to have been involved in some meetings with bishops in Minnesota. Melly and Marianne were part of a meeting with Archbishop Henda in Minneapolis, St. Paul last fall. I met with him 2 other times, and at the last time I introduced myself again, and he goes, "Well, I know who you are." So I'm like, that's good. He knows who I am. I think just maybe the past impressions. So I think that as well. And then another bishop in St. Cloud, Minnesota, which is a diocese of an hour outside of the Twin Cities and such. So my background is in marketing and partnerships and building business partnerships, project management, strategic planning and such. And it's always been in the senior care industry. So I've been in senior care technology and such overall. And so as I've seen senior care evolve over time, when I started there, a lot of these senior care facilities, they didn't acknowledge LGBTQ individuals at all. This is over 20 years ago, and that has changed over time. And that has helped with working with the Aging with Dignity Caucus and seeing a lot of that training that's going on. We work with SAGE at that level and such too. So, and I believe, and again, I think we have a great understanding and great opportunity to expand dignity overall moving forward. A lot of parishes now, are doing LGBTQ ministry. They weren't doing that 10 years ago, and I have a lot of colleagues in Dignity Twin Cities who've been part of Dignity Twin Cities for decades, that done a great job of keeping the chapter in place and keeping moving forward. And they look to them about how we minister to the LGBTQ Catholic and such overall. So I'm excited about Pope Leo. I want to see kind of what he's doing moving forward. We're all very euphoric about it right now. I'm also shocked that American was picked, but I'm very excited about that and such, and see how he's going to be pastoral and really reach out to our folks and such overall, because we do have a place in the church. We very much have a place in the church, and I'd like to continue to make sure that we are evangelizing the church in the context of how LGBTQ individuals fit within the church. And so that's really important to me and such overall. So but I'll be at the 50th and I'll be at the conference this summer. Very much looking forward to that. So looking forward to meeting um other dignity folks and such overall. So but I think we've got a great group here, a lot of passion, advocacy, and expanding that moving forward. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Louis. Wow. First of all, congratulations on 50 years. And being a board member for 2 years, a lot of people would say, well, I've done my duty, I'm moving on. But to sign up for another 2 years really shows a lot of commitment. And I know I've been on some committees with you, so I know you're always there, you're always on time. We really appreciate that you're stepping up for another 2 years. So we've heard from Maxwell Guzma. He's not feeling well, he just had surgery, so he won't be with us today, but we'll try and get him to him. I think his pronouns are him and her, him and his, to submit a video statement or a written statement that we can put out there for you. But I would encourage you to read his statement in his on the ballot. Okay, so the next person is Mr. Tom Yates. So Tom joined the board last year, and he is stepping up big time to fill the vice president role. So Mr. Yates, you have the floor.
Okay. I'm Tom Yates. I've been with Dignity Washington. I just thought about it. It's 42 years now. I was a mere infant when I joined. So I've worn lots of hats in Dignity. I was on the national board for 6 years back about 12 years ago, I think. Dignity, of course, has been a very important part of my life, especially Dignity Washington. I think Dignity USA has a real important role, perhaps more than a lot of people think. I think the change in Pope, I don't know if that's going to change the overall Catholic Church very much. I don't expect it to change much. In fact, I was somewhat a little bit disappointed by the initial reports on past things that Leo had said before he was Leo. Though he is pissing off the right people, so possibly that's a good thing. I mean, he is for the poor, the immigrant, I don't know how he's going to feel about LGBTQ people, in particular about trans people who I think are really marginalized in so many ways. And unfortunately, I think we're actually somewhat stuck in a place of limbo. When the church was really unwelcoming, people had no place else to go. Now we're sort of in a place where I think these gay-friendly parishes are sort of eating our lunch. I think a lot of Catholics have been willing to take the half measure. I'm not. Uh, the fact that the Pope people, I think, were very excited about the fact that they would bless same-sex couples. The Catholic Church in the past has blessed racehorses and uh, battleships. So in some ways, we're sort of on the same level of hardware and livestock. So until, we get the really full sacramental equality, I don't think the local parishes are doing their job for us. So um, I think there's still an important place for us, and I think it's important for the LGBTQ, let's see if I can say that, LGBTQ community to know what we are and what our role is. Um, Otherwise, people I think of back in the 60s and maybe into the 70s where divorced Catholics went to church, or a lot of them just left the church entirely, but, their families sort of stepped over them to go to communion, and they were sort of treated as second class citizens within the Catholic Church. And for some ways, gay people are still treated that way in the Catholic Church. There are certainly among some of the parishes, the members are friendly. Though, if you'd heard Linda's story, Linda Roberts' story 6 years ago at the conference in Chicago, there are certainly people in the parishes who are unwelcoming to people in the trans community. So I think we really do have a lot of work to do, and I think it's important for us to get our message out there. I don't know if I haven't looked at my time. Am I running out of time? Because I could talk for another hour without saying much of anything. So
I'll give you a few more minutes since you're from Dignity, Washington.
you may be sorry you did that. Anyway, I have worn, like I said, lots of hats. I was president of Dignity Washington for 6 years, not as long as Daniel. Practically had to hit him over the head to get him out of that seat. Um, I have served on a number of committees in Dignity Washington and a number of roles in Dignity USA. Primarily, I'm largely doing videos either, and hopefully if you aren't dead, you don't end up in one of my videos, except maybe this summer, hopefully all of you will do a reflection that will be part of the conference. So anyway, I will yield my time. So I have a cat here. So somebody else can talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And again, Tom's been working hard on the National Conference Committee. And I know I saw Paula on there too. Those guys have been working like crazy to put on our conference in Dublin, Ohio in a few weeks. Okay, Melly. Wow. Well, Melly is incredible. Melly is willing to do another 2 years as president. And I can't even think of how many times Melly and Marianne have traveled, not only to all the 50th celebrations over the last couple of years, but to other events all around the country. And Melly is a superpower, and we are just so fortunate that Melly is willing to do another 2 years as our president. So Melly, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Daniel. Yeah, my name is Melly. My pronouns are she, her, and I am located in Indianapolis, Indiana. I have been involved in Dignity Indianapolis since I moved here in 2008, kind of off and on. My history is that I worked in religious education and youth ministry for the first 8 years after I graduated from Notre Dame with my degree in theology and philosophy. And so when I first moved to Indianapolis, I spent a lot of time kind of skulking around the back of Dignity Indianapolis, wanting to be present, but also being really concerned about my employment and losing my job. So it wasn't until I actually left that job in 2015 that I was able to be a lot more present to the Dignity Indianapolis community and really get involved there. I joined the national board in 2019 and have served as president for the last 4 years. So a lot of things I'm really proud of that Dignity has been doing since I've been on the board. I led a group of young adults to World Youth Day twice, and I'm really proud of the national work that the young adult chapter has been doing and the way that they've been visible in that space. And as a national board, I think we've been really focused on turning that corner at 50 years and thinking about what the future of the next 50 years looks like. As you all know, the work of Dignity is needed now more than ever in our current political climate, in what's happening in the United States. I think we're all cautiously optimistic and hopeful about a change in papacy, but truly we don't know what the next papacy will hold. We don't know what may change. We don't know what kind of statements may come out. And I know that the work of Dignity is going to be needed to keep our issues and issues of equality for LGBTQ plus Catholics at the forefront. So I know that we have lots and lots of work yet to be done. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to continue being part of that. I think as Louis mentioned, the board has just started some strategic planning. So we are trying to look at what the next 50 years of Dignity might look like, where our key, the key things we need to be focused on so that we continue to be active and viable and make a big difference in our world. We'll be talking more about that at the conference over the summer, but you should know that the board has been hard at work trying to set strategic priorities and really plan for what the future of Dignity will look like. I continue to be grateful for the opportunity to serve on the board and to serve as your president. Like I said, my first career was in ministry, in religious education and youth ministry, and I did leave that job to propose to my wife and to be able to get married and to live openly. And one of the things I'm most grateful for with Dignity is that I feel like the opportunity to serve with Dignity really returned me to myself and allowed me to continue in a ministry career, which I truly loved. So I'm grateful for all of you and for your support of me over the last number of years. So thank you.
And we are so grateful to you too, again, 4 years as president and 2 more years to come, hopefully. Okay, Martine. Martine is going to be our person behind the scenes with the chat. We're going to open up the chat, and Mary Ann's also going to help out with that unless her email, connection drops from.
I am a cisgendered female with 5 kids and 5 grandkids. I also have a degree in ministry, practical theology. So it's part of that work. I've never been paid though. So just so you know, it's not a plug because I get paid. But I'd like to plug the work or advertise or marketing guy. I need you to do this for me.
Oh, Peggy Burns.
Daniel, you mentioned somebody's name that couldn't be here. Would you tell us again who that is? And would you tell us how many people are we voting for?
Oh, yes, thank you. It's Maxwell Guzma. I hope I got his pronouns right. He's big in the transgender community. He's very excited to be here. I would definitely encourage you to read his bio in the ballots. The ballots have been sent out. About 95% of them are electronic. So we'll probably get a quick response on those. We did mail out a few paper ballots. The balloting will be open until June 15th. And then we'll have a couple weeks to certify to count Mary and I will, and another person will count the ballots. And then we will submit them to Sam, our secretary on the board. And once the board meets in Dublin in early July before the conference. They will certify the election, and then we will announce the winners at the conference in Dublin. So that's how it's going to work. But again, I would encourage you to read Maxwell's statement. He's really excited about joining the board, and relative newcomer to Dignity. So it's always nice to get new folks on the board, as well as people who've served on the board before and have had a long experience with Dignity. I hope that answers your question, Peggy.
Just also, how many slots are there?
Oh,
Are there 3 people running for 3 slots?
yeah, we have 3 board members running for 3 slots. And then we have one team, Tom and Melly, running for vice president and president. However, anybody who's voting can write in anybody. You can write in a board member, a slot for a board member, or you can write in a slot for the president and vice president. So we won't know until we collect all the ballots who the winners are. Anybody else? Richard, Bob Butts. Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, when I was on the board, we worked on a leadership resourcing sustainability fund. And I wondered, are there plans to continue this?
Daniel, I can take this one. We're not looking to continue the Leadership Sustainability Fund itself. That was really meant as an interim fundraising feature as we were transitioning out of some of the larger grant awards that we have. Bob, I wish I could tell you that I had all of the answers for how we remain financially sustainable. I don't have all of the answers today. That is one of the main strategic priorities that we are working on. We are looking at exploring both grant revenue, but also being mindful that we can't rely solely on grants. So we've also been looking at ways to increase our guardian angel pool, looking for ways to increase donors, increase membership, and just trying to think through the different pots of money that we might be able to access. Like I said, if I had the answer to that, I would tell you, but please know that it is one of like 3 major items that we're talking about with our strategic planning, because we do know that financial sustainability is going to be critical to being able to continue our work into the future.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Anybody else? Martine, is there anything in the chat?
Nope, not that we haven't addressed yet.
Oh, John.
Thank you, Daniel. Just a shout out to you, Carrie. It's a pleasure that you're here as one of our allies, and we really treasure our allies for the support and the strength that they lend to our organization. So thank you so much for being here and part of our discussion today. And thank you to the candidates who have all offered to run for the board. As a board member myself, I know how you really think carefully about this decision and what you bring to the board as a member. So thank you for accepting your candidacy. I have kind of a maybe somewhat of a softball question, but I'm curious what particular skill or strength, or even what particular deep interest do you have that you bring with you with your candidacy that will enhance the work of Dignity USA and its board?
Question. Who would like to answer first? Let's see.
Go first. John, I think working with you on the Aging with Dignity Caucus, one thing I do have a concern about, other than many things, is I want to be sure individuals who are going into senior care residences, whether it's whatever care level, that they don't have to go back to the closet. Because I do think there is a concern there, depending upon, they should be able to move where they're moving and live how they live, just as they have their whole life and such. So I think my background in the senior care industry and such is going to be valuable for that. And you know, the trainings that need to be done, the understanding and acknowledge individuals who, when they decide to move into whatever type of community, you know, that they want to go to, that they're able to live authentically and be themselves, whether it's with their partner or not having a partner, what have you, and making sure that we can do what we can, Dignity, in providing resources to not only individuals, but to those institutions and those organizations so that those folks can live authentically. And I think that's important work. So,
Thank you, Louis. Anybody else would like to respond to John's question? Francis.
Sure. Yeah, so I guess I would touch on three things. I moonlight at a tax and accounting firm, so I would argue I have just about enough of a financial background to be dangerous. So I certainly don't have all the answers to how we're going to be financially sustainable, but I would love to be a part of that work and explore those solutions. I believe I've got some pretty solid writing and communication skills. I actually helped edit the dignity response to the Green Bay Diocese anti-trans policy. And so I would love to continue that kind of work and that sort of advocacy by press release and such. And the third thing is just kind of by the fact of me being situated where I am. As a kind of older millennial, I really, at this point, have become almost a bridge person between the generations. I was a little bit taken aback when I did the faith sharing partners thing and got paired with someone younger than me. That kind of threw me for a loop, but it's just kind of reinforces in my mind we've got a wonderful generation behind me and a wonderful generation ahead of me, and both are very important to Dignity. And just being in a place where I don't have a physical chapter, I think I kind of represent a lot of the future there in terms of really wanting to stay connected virtually and non-traditionally, I guess I'd say. So
Thank you. Thank you. Tom or Melly, would you like to respond? Go ahead, Tom. You're on mute.
Yes, I know. My mouse, for some reason, is not acting very fluidly. I don't think this is a softball question. It's a little like define universe and give two examples. What are my assets? Strangely enough, if I do a Myers-Briggs, I'm on intuitive, but I really function at nuts and bolts. You give me a job to do, like move an office or build a video or something like that. I am really good with a very definite task. The sort of the strategic planning stuff really does drive me crazy because it is sort of like picking, defining the universe and giving an example. So, but I certainly feel like I bring a certain level of history to Dignity. When things happened in November, which I can't name, we all felt like suddenly we were taking a huge step backwards. But in some ways, I really feel like it is a step backwards, but it is a place where we've been, and it's a place where we've been in far worse situations. And we really need to take stock of where we are. We certainly, I think of back 40 years ago, we didn't have our allies that we have today. We didn't have the parents and friends. When I came out, parents not only were gay people in the closet, and I say gay meaning all of LGBTQ, but their parents and families were in the closet. So we forget how important things like PFLAG were. So we are, I think, a huge step ahead because I think we're in a place, and it's not universal, but where people are saying, not my kid. You're not going to screw my kid out of a job or out of a housing or my niece or nephew. So I think we are worlds ahead of that. And I think that's one of the things that we have to keep track of our history. So I don't know if I answered the question or not, but I'll stop talking.
Thank you, Tom. Melly, any input?
Yeah, I think some of the strengths or skills that I bring, I mean, I do have a background in theology, which I think is very helpful for this organization. And then, I mean, I think I'm good at nuts and bolts too, but I do think I have a strategic mind where I can see the big picture of what's going on and like where we ultimately want to be. So I think that's something else that I bring. Professionally, besides a background in religious education, I have a master's in social work, and I also so I work in housing right now, and then I also adjunct at Indiana University in the social work department. And so I think there's kind of a pedagogy, sort of an educational philosophy of kind of how we get to where we need to be, and being able to take things kind of step by step, and that kind of comes with some of that training as well.
Thank you for that. And one of the great things about the board too, as a board member, we try and utilize everyone's skills. Not everyone has the same skills, so it's really important to be able to share your skills with other people and do teamwork, and also lead projects by yourself. Any other questions? Thank you for that, John. That was a great question. Okay, well, I'm not going to keep you guys longer than we have to, but I am going to do a gratuitous plug because I'm the host and I can say anything I want for the conference that I see Paula and many other people have been planning for Dublin, Ohio. We're going to have a great conference. I hope you guys can register. Pre-registration just ended, but you can still register. And I'm going to put in a plug for volunteers. Bob Butts and I are looking for volunteers. So if you'd like to volunteer with registration, with workshops, with guest speakers, with being a host to new people who've never been there before, please email me at dbarutta, BARUTTA @gmail.com, or we'll also be sending out in the Dateline calls for volunteers. We need help to put that thing on, and we would love to have your help. And what else? Anything else for the good of the cause? Melly, anything else we should say before we? Oh, Tom. Oh, the video project, right?
Yes,
Tom?
I'm going to put in a shameless plug because all of you are either on a board, have been on the board, have been in a leadership position, you represent yourself and or a chapter or a group. I would like you all to consider recording a reflection, and you can go to I think they even put my little video on the most recent Dateline. I don't know if anybody reads all the way down to the Dateline, but there's a little video that'll describe what you should be doing. So please do it, because otherwise I expect to see your face in memoriam.
Oh, God.
One way or the other, you're going to be there.
And Daniel, I just have one other thing to share. I think everyone who's on this call knows that Marianne is joining us currently from Rome, where she went to attend the conclave. We know there's lots of interest in Marianne's experience there. And so just to give you all the insider information, we will be announcing a debrief happening this week. The information will go out on Monday, and Marianne will be offering a forum debrief on Tuesday to share about her experiences at the conclave. So we hope you'll be able to join us so you can ask her all your questions and hear all of her stories at that point.
And I want to give a final shout out to Martin Witchger. Oh, we miss you. He was our vice president for so many years on the board, a member of Dignity Washington. He and his husband now live in North Carolina, not too far from where I am. Chris's husband is walking the Appalachian. I've learned, since coming to North Carolina, I've learned how to say Appalachia instead of Appalachian. The Appalachia Trail. I think Chris is right in Pennsylvania right now, right, Martin? Anyway, we just wish well, and hope you guys can join us in Ohio, even though I think you have something else to do, right?
I'm coming. I'll see you all in Ohio. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm happy to help on the Zoom help here. So it's good to see you all and see you soon.
Thank you all so much. You guys are beautiful and happy